You guys want to hear a ghost story? So, a girl sent me this the other day. She asked me if I talked about ghost stories on my true crime platform. I told her no, that I was pretty new to it. And she asked me if I would consider doing it. Told her, sure, I would consider it. And she sent me the story, and it sent chills down my spine, guys. So if it's dark and you're alone, please don't listen to this story because I'm not going to lie, it's super scary. So have you guys ever heard of a mimicking ghost? Something to do with Appalachia? I have. So the way I've heard of a mimicking ghost would be like if a loved one passed away or something and you smell their perfume or something like that. That's what I've always heard that was. This is a story of a mimicking ghost, but this isn't like that. So this lady, her name's Emily. Her and her husband lived in Florida. They purchased a cabin up here in the Appalachian Mountains, and they came up a few times a year. It was just her and her husband and their two dogs, Remy and Jackson. Remy was a pit bull rescue, very active dog, and then Jax was older and he wasn't super active. But they both loved coming up here to the mountains and enjoying the land and going to play on the mountain and things like that. They had a bunch of land on part of a mountain, and they had a long driveway that went up to the house, and there was no neighbors around real close. So everything had been good. She'd been up here for a few weeks, and she said that it was in April, so it was springtime, everything was blooming, but it had been raining, which she actually liked that because she would listen to the rain hit the tin roof when she would go to sleep at night, and she said that it was very soothing to her. And she would sit out and read and stuff like that. She just really enjoyed the rain on the tin roof. She said that was something that brought her so much peace. So she did say that she had like a couple nights where she had some nightmares. She could hear her husband talking to her and stuff, and she would wake up and, she would be a little scared, but, everything was fine. She didn't really think a lot about it. So one morning she wakes up and she decides that her and Remy are going to go out on a trail and go for a hike, a little day hike. And so she left her little dog behind, and her and Remy went out and they enjoyed the day. They had a great hike. It was beautiful, beautiful weather. And so on the way back, she stops at the grocery store. She decides she's going to make a nice dinner for herself. She said it was going to be shrimp Alfredo. She grabbed a big bottle of Chardonnay and she walked out and came home and had planned a relaxing night, just her dogs, and she's going to watch her favorite TV show. So she does all that. She gets up. She decides that it's time to clean the kitchen. So she goes in there, starts cleaning. She's done with everything. She starts washing dishes. And in front of her sink is a window. And she's washing her dishes. And all of a sudden, she hears tap, tap, tap on the window. And her dogs kind of start to react. She is just taken back by it, and it scares her. And so she just kind of took a breather for a minute, calmed her dogs down, and was thinking that, and it could have been anything. The wind could have blew something, and it hit the window. But, she was scared, but she got over it. She starts washing dishes again. She's finishing up and doing a couple more things in the kitchen. And all of a sudden, she hears a bam, like a really hard hit to that window. And she said that she went into like a panic mode. And she just starts like kind of backing up. And she got the courage up to go and turn the light off because it's light in the house. And there's a light above the sink. It's dark outside, so she can't see anything. So she goes over and she turns the light off and looks, and there is nothing there. So she said that the hairs on the back of her neck are standing up. She freaks out. She kind of just, her dogs are still going crazy. And she says that all of a sudden there is a moment of just pure silence, and that her front door slings open. And it's not windy, it's nothing crazy. And she was like, I have to get out of here. I can't do this. And when she's walking towards the door, she said that she could hear a voice saying, Emily, are you not going to let me in? And it just sent chills down her spine. She said it sounded just like her husband. She grabs her dogs. She goes to the car, gets there, realizes that she doesn't have her purse. So she runs back in, gets her purse. She's in tears, freaking out, gets in her car. She leaves. She doesn't really know what to do. She's never had this happen to her before. So she goes to town and finds a place where she can stay, a motel room somewhere. She said that she had to sneak her dogs in, and she got no sleep whatsoever. So she just laid there. The next morning she gets up, she goes to a diner. She sits down at this table, orders her some coffee. The dogs are sitting in the car. She said she could see them from where she was sitting at the booth. And the waitress comes up and, can tell that she's not doing well. And so she asked her if she's okay. And she said that even though she knew that this woman was going to think she was crazy, she decided to tell her what happened. And she tells her that, she could hear tapping on the window. And then when she's running out of her house, that she could hear her late husband ask if he's going to let her in the house. And she, told her, she's like, I've never been this scared. And the waitress told her that that was a mimicking ghost, and that this happens in Appalachia, and that people around here know about this. So Emily's never heard about anything like this, and never believed in any kind of, supernatural stuff. So this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So she goes to the library and she looks up a mimicking ghost and is doing some kind of research on that and doing research on her house. So turns out there was a pretty brutal murder there that happened years and years and years before this. And so the house sat vacant for a good while. And so someone bought it, and they had lived there for maybe 2 years, and sold it to her. And she got a steal. Her and her husband got a steal on this place. And she said that she didn't contact the people that had it before her or anything, that she just assumed that they had a bad experience and sold it to her cheap. And she, had read in more to this mimicking ghost thing. And she is convinced that this was somebody that a spirit or something left up there that had something terrible happen to them. And she sold that place and she never went back. She does not live here anymore, and says that she will never return to the Appalachian Mountains because of this. So this story scared me to death. And I'm wondering, have you ever heard of any kind of a mimicking ghost? I'm just curious to know your thoughts. Thank you. And also, one thing that I have heard, it's like a rule of Appalachia. I've lived here my whole life, but I've always been told that at night before you go to bed to close your blinds. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. What do you guys do?